With me now is Joanne Yawitch, who is a Chief Executive Officer of the National Business Initiative and formerly Deputy Director General at the Department of Environmental Affairs. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. First of all, does business in South Africa, particularly ahead of COP at the end of the year, actually get this notion of green?
I think it's very hard to generalize. I think there's certainly some businesses that do. I think certainly that a number of South Africa's big companies, particularly those that operate internationally and that are linked into international business, are doing some very interesting things. I think at the same time there are a whole lot for whom this is still a space that they haven't ventured into. I also think there are some companies that in their own right have done very innovative things in a national context. So if you look at, for example, Woolworths, I think that a company like that has really looked at its supply chain and looked at the opportunities in its supply chain, not only for green procurement, but also for empowerment opportunities. I think that's the kind of mix in South Africa that you're looking for.
It's not just the big ones that have to get this right, though. It's critical that medium-sized companies and SMMEs get it right, too.
No, I think that's right. And I think that's where the issues around regulation come in a very strong kind of way. I think that, it's one thing for a big company with a lot of people who can do nothing but follow what is happening to get it right. But if you're a 10-person company, you need knowledge, you need information, you need support in order to be able to do it. And then probably a regulatory framework will impel the process forward. We'll
talk about the regulatory framework in just a moment. But surely it's also about inculcating a green ethos within a company. You can't just chuck a couple of 100,000 rand on it and tick it in the box.
Okay, well, I think it's three things, actually. I think the one thing that it's probably about is leadership. So I think that if you've got a CEO who has a vision, who understands
more green
the
leaders.
Issues, yes, but who also understands that there's a business case. I think the second thing is the business case, that you need to understand that green is not about sacrificing profits. It's not about going to the loony edge of things. It's about actually doing business in a different kind of way, but an equally profitable and sustainable way. So I think that's an essential understanding. And then the third is being able to respond to a set of signals that come from outside your own business.
What sort of signals?
Well, I think they're price signals. There's issues of competition. If you find that the way that you are powering your business means that you are at a competitive disadvantages with others in your industry, you're going to shift. I think that the other thing is clearly with regulation, if there are incentives that are provided, if you shift to different kinds of ways of doing things and you can't get it, you're going to shift.
So inevitably the market talks.
I think the market does talk, yeah.
What makes a green leader?
I think that if you look at a green leader, I think that you're someone who understands, firstly, who can think long term. Because I think the issue about going green is about saying that we want to do business in a way that is going to ensure that the planet doesn't run out of resources in 30 or 50 years' time. So that long-term perspective is, I think, the one issue. The second issue is then understanding, I suppose, international trends and what needs to happen. And then it's the ability to blend that understanding with your own production processes or business model and integrate it as a core element of strategy. I think those are the people who get it right.
And it's a nice to have, isn't it? But a lot of those people that you're talking about are preoccupied with the day-to-day business of margin management and profit, whether you like it or not.
No, they are, and they must be. But I think it's those who can blend that very correct. I mean, businesses are in business to make money. So they need to profit, and you can't sacrifice your bottom line or your margins, but at the same time understanding that if you put certain things in place, you're going to eventually get ahead. I think that's the kinds of business leaders who make it.
Joanne, you spoke, sorry, you were going to say, yeah?
No, I was going to say also, I mean, at a national level, I mean, if you look at a country like China as a country has seen a huge opportunity with green industries. And as a country, they've plowed huge amounts of money into it. And expect to make huge amounts of money out of it.
Have we got a lot of catch-up?
In relation to China, yes.
But per capita?
Per per capita, I wouldn't know, but I certainly don't think that our government at this point in time is either in a position to or has been able to drive the green agenda in as focused a way. But it is moving in that direction.
Which segues nicely into the regulatory framework that you were talking about. Are our policies flexible enough?
I think, I'm not certain what you mean by flexible, but I think that the problem is...
Are they
that
friendly enough in order to encourage the type of thinking that we need?
I think that they're getting there. I think certainly the fact that industrial policy, the new growth path, the climate policy and the energy policy are showing signs of starting to come together and talk to each other is what is necessary. I think that policies talking to each other is absolutely necessary to create an integrated and coherent framework. So I think that we are on the road to getting there. I think the green economy paradigm as an overall paradigm offers opportunity to do that. I mean, the climate white paper came out today, and I think that'll certainly have big impact on the way that industry looks at the way that it uses energy. I think that certainly what has also focused the mind has been the energy security problem in South Africa has really focused the mind on what do we do, how do we secure alternative sources of supply, and business has responded very fast.
In that particular case, there hasn't business been, has it not been expedient? Business has been driven by necessity and desperation.
Yes, but that's quite often the way that things happen.
It's the way the world works, isn't it?
It's the way the world works.
Final question for you. You've spoken about the plan, you've spoken about the policy. Let's talk very quickly about the execution, if we can. I would suggest to you often there is a gap between good policy and implementation because of diminished capacity.